Well, I really feel like it's a citizen's obligation. If you want something changed or you want to be a part of things, you have an obligation. My name is Diouf, and I've been a North Liberty resident for 5 years, and I'm an elementary school principal and director of curriculum and instruction for Springville Community School District. I also serve on the library board and have 3 small children and a husband. I also served in the United States Peace Corps. I was a teacher. I have a long list of commitments and things where I am actually involved, and I think that democracy is wonderful and that people need to be a part of their city to make it better. I come to the library a lot with my 3 children and my husband, and it can be difficult to get around in the library, so I'd like to see it become bigger. The expansion is really important to me, as is just sort of continuation of some of the services. I feel strongly that the library, more so than any place in the community, really is inclusive. And that's something that sends a strong message to me personally as an educator, but also as a parent. I would want every child in the community, regardless of where they're from, to feel like there's a place where they can learn and that they're involved. And there are subtle things that I notice, not just from a professional point of view, but when I go places, there are subtle things that I know that tell me this is a place where everyone belongs. And I get that feeling at the library. So I felt like I would like to be a part of whatever they're doing. Well, my day is really hectic. I get up about 5:30, get myself ready, and then I get my children ready too. I take 2 of them with me to Springville where I work. So mornings are incredibly hectic between changing diapers and helping another child go to the bathroom, giving them a little snack for the car, driving to work. I said I'm principal of an elementary school, so in the morning I try to go out and greet the buses, talk to the kids, get around, check with the teachers, and I'm also curriculum director, so I work a lot on what's actually being taught, how we're meeting state mandates, looking at program development, things like that. And so I do some things in my office, then I get out and I do lunch duty again, hang out with the kids. My afternoons are often filled with meetings, talking to teachers, other people in the district. And I pick up my children from daycare, and then I go to my daughter's elementary. She goes to school at North Bend here in North Liberty. I pick her up, and then I come home and cook dinner. And if it's a Monday night, we watch Dancing with the Stars. And then I read to them every night. Read to my kids. It's probably the best part of the day. And then I try to work. I do a little bit of internet stuff, email friends, check out Facebook, and then clean the house and make lunches for the next day. So it's a very mundane life. Talking to kids, just being a part of their life, somehow connecting with them, knowing kids' names, talking to them, making sure that they know that somebody cares about them. That's the missing link, I think, for a lot of children. Iowa has the greatest percentage of parents where both parents are in the workforce, and I worry a lot about kids, who's caring for them, and I think all parents love their children, but I think that people are stretched really thin, and in this tough economy, it's become even more difficult. So I like to be that person to, say hi to the kids and ask them about their day, get to know their personal lives a little bit, ask them what they've read, talk to them about school. Well, I had 2 sort of goals. I always wanted to be a comedic actor on Saturday Night Live. If I wasn't doing that, I thought I would be a diplomat, a United States diplomat. So from one extreme to the other. But I found a great place being in education is wonderful. I've sort of given up the hope that I could be on Saturday Night Live. I'm not particularly funny. In fact, I'm often accused of being too serious. So that won't happen. But continuing my work in sort of on an international plane, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I still think, sometime maybe foreign service, that life might be in my future. I spent a lot of time abroad in Africa, France, Europe, and I do miss that. I do miss different points of view and certainly speaking different languages. I miss that. I'm an Iowa native. I'd say probably almost all of my favorite memories, if I think back to growing up in Dubuque, would have to do with the library, Carnegie Stout Public Library, and then swim team. I was captain of my high school swimming team, and so between the pool and we lived very close, we lived in walking distance of the library. It's a very old and historic library. So between those two, very fond memories. Dubuque is a beautiful place. Just with the river there and the bluff. So it was a wonderful place to grow up. I was in Senegal. I was on a sort of swimming. He worked at a swimming pool over there. He was a director of, I guess it was sort of like an assistant. He was in charge of the swimming pool. So he's working in sports. And that was really who I was, how I sort of defined myself throughout, high school and college. I did not swim for the University of Iowa. That's where I went to college. But I, have always been a swimmer. And so when I got to Senegal, where I was doing my Peace Corps training, I was losing myself somewhat, I guess, and I really needed to swim. And so he was working at the pool, and I just met him there, and whatever. The rest is history. I would say maybe the rate of growth that continues. It's always interesting. I wonder, where all these people coming from. That's always interesting to me. But I like things like the blues and barbecue. That's always fun. A lot of people just seem to spend time outdoors. They're the great recreation trails. Commitment to North Liberty is now involved in the Cool Cities Initiative and sending Tracy Mulcahy and myself, she's our assistant city administrator, to meetings. We've begun that, and when Mayor Salm had asked me to do that, I was like, wow, this is really progressive, because this could require some commitments on the city level for what we're doing about our carbon footprint. And I thought that was really progressive, and I'd like to live in a place that's progressive, that thinks about the impact of our decisions. I wish I had time for hobbies. I did go swimming. I swam at the rec center Sunday. I never do that because I feel like it brings me too close to the former me. And then I did 500 yards, which is 20 lengths, which is, I always feel like, why would you even do that? When you're going to get wet and involved, you should really do, at least 2,000 yards. I love learning languages and reading. I read every night, not only to my children, but I read a lot of nonfiction, so I do that. That's, I guess, kind of a hobby. I love yoga, but no, I don't do that anymore. I did recently, though, go to the rec center, also not just to swim, but last week I did go and I did the treadmill, that was really fun, and read Time magazine. So the things that I really wish I could do, I spent the weekend with my dad in Des Moines, and we went to the Des Moines Art Center, and my dad's becoming an artist now that he's retired, and he's a very talented person, but I love art, and I wish I could go do an art class, a painting class, pottery, photography, any of that. But right now I feel like I have two responsibilities, and that is to be a good mother and to be really good at my job. And people always say to me that, that's really dangerous. You're going to lose yourself. If I cannot be successful as a mom, nothing else matters. And then the next thing, of course, my job. Taxpayers pay my salary. If I cannot be an effective school leader, then I shouldn't be in that position. So those things have to go really well. And then I never forget that there will be a day where I can go to Paris again. That's one of my other hobbies. I love going to France. I'll get back to Paris. I'll go back to yoga class. I'll get into a master swimming program. But youth is very fleeting, and I want to be the best mom I can be. Well, I have two favorite books, and although right now all I read is nonfiction, my favorite books would be To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, and that I read, I think when I was a freshman in high school at Dubuque Senior, and that changed the way I saw the world, and that's what books, when they're powerful, should do. And the other one that really changed how I look at life would be Les Miserables which is by Victor Hugo. That's another one of those things that's like the redemptive power of faith and humanity. And both of those books really are about faith, humanity, how you treat other people. They have made a profound impact on my life. I still think about those. I mean, I haven't read To Kill a Mockingbird, years. That was, a very long time ago. More than 20 years ago I read that book, and I still think about it. Les Mis, we read excerpts of that for high school when I was a high school teacher. I used to teach parts of that, and it still would choke me up to think about, how you treat people. And then I start thinking about, in particular, Les Mis, and that was, of course, at the time of the French Revolution, and people, didn't have food. And I think about, the poverty that's starting to cripple our nation, and how are we going to care for each other, and how are we going to treat each other. And then, of course, to go back to Kill a Mockingbird, it's about race relations, and as the demographics change in our community, how are we going to treat each other? What's the value of human life? Who matters and who doesn't? And you can take that from a religious point of view, or you can take it from a human point of view. And I take it, for me, both ways. I know I should say French because I was a French teacher. And then I think I should probably say reading, because reading is such a focus. If you don't have reading, you have nothing. But probably science. Nothing else gets me more excited than science and understanding physics and how the world is put together. I'm not good at physics. I'm not particularly strong at math. But I love learning about that stuff. I love understanding plate tectonics, geology, the atmosphere, those kinds of things. I think maybe because the way that science is taught, and it's taught this way now too, Iowa City schools as well as Clear Creek Amana and our school, Springville, we use these things called FOSS kits, and the kids have hands on. And I remember that from high school. And I just remember my dad, he wouldn't let us watch MTV or any of that kind of stuff, but he would, force us to watch Jacques Cousteau, this, who was this marine biologist or whatever, explorer. And I love that stuff. I love science, I wouldn't put that up into the category of I'd like to be on Saturday Night Live or I'd like to be a diplomat. But science is by far the most exciting subject in school. I really like Saturday Night Live, and I did watch parts of it Saturday. Dancing with the Stars, that's the best. That is the best television. I love it. I don't know why, but I love it. My daughter says, Mommy, that's going to be me one day. And then I'm like, oh, honey, you're going to medical school, so how are you going to be on Dancing with the Stars? I always tell students that my favorite movie is Finding Nemo, and I really do love that movie, but my all-time favorite movie is Tommy Boy. I don't know how many people have seen that, but it is... I probably shouldn't be saying that. I should probably give you something like, Les Miserables or something, but I love Tommy Boy. I love the humor in it. I love the jokes. And the actor that's in that movie, Chris Farley, who is now deceased, he's fantastic. I'd say anything that my husband makes. If I don't have to cook it, that's the best food out there. My husband's African. He cooks African food, and that's fabulous. So anything he makes is good. Absolutely plain. I cannot support train or automobile travel unless I'm in Europe and I can ride the TGV, which is the train à grande vitesse, which is the very fast train. I feel like my time is valuable. I don't want to be driving to get somewhere. I mean, if I'm going to go to Des Moines, I wish I could take a flight. However, because of the carbon footprint, that would not be good. The best way to Des Moines is in a Prius. But if given the choice, I want to get there in an airplane, of course. Rock, because rocks tell the history of of all of history. Everything's in there. There are fossils in there, crystals in there, everything. Rock. That's hard because I think so many of our memories are formed by pictures of things that we've seen. But probably the trouble I got into when I cut my bangs, I think I must have been 4 or 5, and I have this horrible colic, so my hair doesn't lay down straight. And my mom was like, you should never cut your hair. But I cut my hair. My MacBook, because all the information is in there. I mean, all my meetings, all my notes, all my emails, all my big grandiose plans, they're all in my MacBook. Well, unfortunately, too much. I use my MacBook at home too. I guess at home, my husband, because it's really hard to parent 3 children by myself. When I was 12, I was at the swimming pool, the YMCA in Dubuque, and these new dives had come out in the '84 Olympic Games, and so I was trying to do this pike start. It's a start that was kind of, it's still popular, but this was when the starting blocks were in the shallow end, and I dove off, and I hit the bottom of the pool and instantly sensed that something was wrong, and I broke my 4th and 5th vertebrae in my neck and was in the hospital for a really, really long time. And when I did the surgery, and it was Dr. Charles Clark, he's a surgeon at the University of Iowa, when he did that surgery, he went inside and everything in my neck was just like spaghetti, and he's like, well, there really is no logical reason for why you're not paralyzed, and you probably, given the circumstances that we see, you should have probably died, because it was so bad that if I should have gotten paralyzed, and then I wouldn't have been able to get up out of the water. So pretty close. But my family, they are strong believers, and everybody was praying for me, and I knew from that moment I was supposed to go on and, I don't know, it sounds very cliche, but do something important, make an impact. I really do live by treat others as you'd have them treat you. I mean, I think that's the basic law of humanity. And my dad taught me that one. He taught me a lot of things. He continues to teach me stuff, but it's mostly that one. You've got to be careful about how you treat people, because if it's not what you want, then you shouldn't be doing it.